everybody, my name is Lindsay. Welcome back to my bookish and writing channel. Today we are going to talk about the Batman comics that I've been reading recently. So before this year, I had only read one Batman comic, and that was Robin and Batman by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. So I hadn't read any Batman comics aside from this one, but I've always been interested in them. I really enjoy the Batman animated movies that DC has been releasing, as well as Batman the Animated Series, of course, and so I've always been interested in checking out the comics, and this year marks the 85th anniversary of Batman, so I thought what better time to start reading Batman comics. I was also invited to participate in a few discussions over on the YouTube channel That's Comical, which is a group comic book channel, and I've had so much fun being a part of their videos as a guest. That's Comical is my go-to place for comic book recommendations, and what I really appreciate about this channel is that it's not just for comic book experts, but it's for everybody, including people who are just getting into comic books. Because of that, this channel makes the experience of looking for and discussing comic books very enjoyable and with zero pressure and zero gatekeeping. If you're a comic book reader or you're interested in picking up comics, I recommend the channel That's Comical, which I have linked in the description below, along with the discussions that I've been a part of so far. Also in the description is my best books of 2023 video, where you can find out my thoughts on Robin and Batman. Obviously they are very positive because they were in my best books of 2023 video. I've also linked content warnings in the description. So without further ado, let's talk about some Batman comics. For my first Batman comic of the year, I decided to go with a classic, and that is Batman Year One. And this is by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. So like the title implies, this book follows Batman over the course of 1 year, particularly his very first year of crime fighting. And this story also follows Jim Gordon during his very first year as a police detective in Gotham, and the story builds until the two characters finally meet in person. I really enjoyed my time with this one. I thought that the dual perspective was such a great storytelling choice, and I wasn't expecting Jim Gordon to be such a big part of the story, but I'm really glad that he was. This story also surprised me in a few different ways because we were introduced to a very early version of Bruce Wayne and James Gordon, and so they are very different characters from what I'm used to seeing, so it was very intriguing. So Bruce Wayne, at the beginning of the story, he knows how to fight, he's been training, but he really doesn't know how to fight as well as he does later on in his career as Batman. He also knows what his mission is right off the bat. He wants to completely eliminate crime from Gotham, but he doesn't quite know how to execute it. In fact, he's not even fighting as Batman at the beginning of the story. He's just kind of floundering, he's a little clumsy, he doesn't quite know what he's doing, and so he's kind of figuring it out along the way. And then we have Detective James Gordon, who has just moved to Gotham City and is learning the hard way that he needs to play by Gotham's rules in order to make a positive difference in it. And this starts taking a toll on him internally and begins to affect his personal choices. As the story builds, both Bruce Wayne and James Gordon are learning not so much who they want to be, but who they have to be in Gotham. Like I said, I really enjoyed my time with this one. Next, I read another classic by Frank Miller, and that is The Dark Knight Returns. This was written by Frank Miller and illustrated by Klaus Janson. If you are also new to the Batman comics, I personally think that these two are really good to read back to back, not only because they're written by Frank Miller, but because they're bookends of each other. So Batman Year One follows the first year of Batman in Gotham, and The Dark Knight Returns follows Batman as he decides to come out of retirement. So in this story, Gotham is very unsurprisingly still very full of crime, and it is being threatened by a new gang called the Mutants. And Bruce Wayne feels like he has no other choice but to return to Gotham as Batman in order to stop them. This story is quite action-packed, and you also get to see where a lot of main Batman characters end up years later, including Batman, James Gordon, the Joker, and Catwoman. Are they still fighting crime? Are they still involved with crime? Did they retire? Did they retire and then decide to come back after seeing Batman's reappearance? You'll just have to read to find out. So another similarity between this one and Batman Year One is that in both stories you are very much reminded that Batman is a superhero without superpowers. However, the way they differ is that in Batman Year One, Bruce Wayne is a 25-year-old man just learning how to fight crime for the first time, and he's very clumsy and doesn't really know what he's doing. And in this story, years later, he's a much older man, and so he has a very different set of challenges. He knows how to fight, he's been doing this for so long, but he can't quite fight the way he used to. I really enjoyed my time with this one as well, but I have to say that between these two comics, I'd have to say Batman Year One was the winner for me, and that really comes down to personal preference. Next, I read what is now my favorite Batman comic so far, and that is Hush. This one is also considered a classic and a favorite among fans, and it is by Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Alex Sinclair. So in this story, a lot of Batman's recurring villains show up, and they all seem to be connected by a mysterious and seemingly new villain known as Hush. While this is happening, Batman and Catwoman decide to date, and one of Bruce Wayne's old childhood friends returns to his life. I simply could not put this book down. First of all, the art is just stunning on every page. Second of all, we get so many Batman villains in this story, which was so much fun, including Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, and of course the Joker. Not just villains though, we get a ton of Batman characters in this story, including Nightwing, who is one of my favorite DC characters, and a few other Robins show up in this story as well. So I really enjoyed just seeing so many Batman characters in this book, and it never felt like too many characters at once. All of the plot threads made sense together, the story was action-packed and fast-paced but also full of depth, and one of the major themes of this book is trust. Who can Bruce Wayne trust? Can he truly 100% trust anybody? What happens if he tries? Like I said, favorite Batman comic of the year so far. It's probably going to be on my best books of 2024 list. I very much recommend it. We're going to do a bit of a tone shift for these last two. So the last two Batman comics that I read were The Wayne Family Adventures Volume 1 and Volume 2 by CRC Payne and Starbite, and these are also available to read on Webtoon. If you really enjoy lighthearted, slice-of-life, shorter stories, I highly recommend these. You can really tell the tone of these stories by the covers. So here we have a food fight between everybody in the Wayne family, and here we see the Wayne family having a movie night together. Most of these stories are about 5 pages or less. Some are very funny, some have a little bit more meaning and depth, but they aren't too serious. All of them focus on all of the members of the Bat family, and I absolutely love the found family elements in these books. To me, the writers of this series really understand the personality traits and desires of each of the characters, which really highlights the humor in all of these stories. I also really enjoyed the art style in these, and so overall, I really enjoyed my experience with these, and I cannot wait to keep reading. So that is what I have read so far. I am having so much fun reading Batman comics for the first time. So let me show you what else is on my TBR for the year. First off, I have Batman the Long Halloween. I will probably read this one next. I also have Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman the Killing Joke. And I don't have these on hand quite yet, but I am of course going to read the Wayne Family Adventures Volume 3, Batman and Joker, The Deadly Duo, and I am also really interested in a manga series called Joker. So I guess it's not really a Batman comic, but it is Batman. This is essentially Batman gets turned into a baby and the Joker decides to raise him, which just sounds like such a fun story, so I want to check that out too. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and if you liked this video, please give me a like so that I know you liked it. In the comments below, let's talk about Batman and comics. Have you read the Batman comics or watched any of the animated movies or series? What is your favorite comic book series or comic book in general? Are you interested in comics, and what are you interested in reading? And if you'd like to leave an emoji in the comments for fun or to let me know you're here, please leave me a Batman related emoji of your choice. So you could leave a bat or a question mark or a clown or a cat, your choice. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you all soon with a new video. Bye everybody!